Welcome to Bedford Studio. You're in the right place for today's Skill Lab. Bedford is the only school for the creator economy. We help everyone, from real estate agents to advisors to healthcare and dental practice owners to consultants and even coaches, turn what they know into content. You'll become an influencer for your own business and learn a real system to keep you consistently growing online with coaching and creator feedback behind it. The name Bedford comes from an old word for a river crossing, and that's the whole idea. We help you cross from nobody outside my circle knows how good I am to people find me online before they ever call. This Skill Lab is one practical move you can use today, where we'll dive deeper into the topic on the screen. A few things before we get started. Got a question for our presenter? Drop it in the chat and our moderator will make sure it gets answered. Want to come on camera and ask your question directly? Click Call In the top right corner. That'll bring you on stage, live, in front of everyone. And if you like this format, we've got a full library of these on our YouTube channel, so you can go deeper at any time. All right, let's get into it.
I'm excited to talk with you all today. We're going to be talking about how to generate revenue from LinkedIn. That's what I spend, and that's what our organization focuses all day, every day on, is how to generate revenue, how to generate new business development opportunities from LinkedIn. Please put your questions in the chat. I want this to make sure that I'm answering those as we go through. A little bit about me. I'm a creator in residence here at Bedford. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Linked Revenue. We help busy professionals win clients on LinkedIn without living on the platform. My background is former chief revenue officer, sales leader, spent my whole career doing sales, always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and luckily fell into a pretty cool opportunity with Linked Revenue about 3 years ago when I started the firm. I started it as kind of out of luck, if I'm being honest. I started working for an organization in 2020, of January 2020. I took over as the head salesperson for an organization that our business was go follow the really smart people and try to sell the client something else while you were there. And so I took the job in January of 2020. In March of 2020, I could no longer do that. So we had to find a new way to generate revenue. I took a social selling course. I thought it was unbelievable, and it radically transformed and changed my life. We doubled the business the next year, a lot of which grew from my own LinkedIn, and I took over the CEO's LinkedIn. And I thought there's something here, kept growing content, kept creating content. And so about 6.5 years into my content journey, what I focus on and what I'm really going to talk about today is LinkedIn and how you can best utilize that as a business development channel. What I want to talk about today is how to set up your profile, how to create good content, how to utilize warm signals as an excuse for outreach as well. So excited for y'all to be with me today. So I'll start with a story here. Hey, does this stuff actually work? Let's talk about how it works. Real life tenant broker in Washington, D.C. Before we started working with him and the organization, had barely been posting on LinkedIn, had barely been doing anything. 7 posts in, a decision maker looking to relocate their office liked one of the posts. We looked at the engagement on that post. He said that would be a really good person for us to reach out to. He reached out. It was somebody he had worked with about 12, 15 years ago, and that person became a client. None of it would have happened without valuable post, engagement, outreach to the post, and didn't really take a ton for this. Ended up being a pretty darn good deal for him, about $170,000. All from posting content, looking at who engages, utilizing that as an excuse to outreach. This stuff works. This is one of hundreds of examples that we see every single day on LinkedIn, but it takes making yourself uncomfortable, putting yourself out there, which is what Bedford does and teaches you, is how to do that effectively, which is one of the reasons I'm so happy to be a creator in residence here. So why is LinkedIn often not working? You're not utilizing it to be proactive for referral opportunities. Your network doesn't know actually what you do. You're not showing up consistently or top of mind. You don't have a system, which is exactly what Bedford does. And you're not doing anything with the engagement you get. And that last one is pretty important and vital. If you're starting from a place where you have a pretty good network already, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be able to generate some new revenue opportunities by just being more proactive, looking to see who engages, sending some outreach. I think that that's one of the biggest mistakes that we see people make is they'll try 2 weeks of content. They'll say, hey, nobody's coming in and reaching out to me. Well, it's like you also have to do a lot of proactive outreach. So I'm going to give a bunch of examples today around what that looks like how can you send good outreach, who should you send outreach to, and how do you build a system in order to be able to effectively do that. And I think what's important that we're going to go through today is this isn't something that I was born with or any creator was born with. It's a habit, it's a skill, it's something that you have to build. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate what Bedford does, is because I see so many people stop doing this because they haven't built the skill, they haven't understood what it really takes to do this consistently for a long time. And that's one of the reasons why this is a skill that you have to build over time. I always say, people often ask, what's the amount of time that I should do this for? Commit to doing this for 6 months and I promise good things will happen. A lot of people will give up after 2 weeks or 3 days, and this is absolutely a long game that you need to commit to. Caveat in that example that I showed before is there is some real opportunity that can come early if you're starting with a pretty good network. I gave a little bit of the story here, so I won't go too in depth into it, but basically what I care about, what I focus on is how can you turn social signals and your social media into a business development channel. My whole background has been in the sales and marketing perspective. I care about impressions, but what I care a lot more is who is this information going to get you in touch with, and how can best putting yourself out there open more doors for you. And so really that's what today in this session is going to be all about. This is the fourth thing I've tried to start. This is the fourth business that I've started. The first three had no real interest. This is one that's gained a lot of interest and been a lot of fun as we continue to grow. So LinkedIn by the numbers, why should you care about this platform? There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn. The one that's the most important to me and the one that is really the most of interest to me is 1% post per month. The barrier for entry is not that high. 1% of the total users are posting once per month. There is a massive opportunity if you can get to the point where you're going twice a month or 4 times a month, significantly higher than the majority of people on there. Even with AI making it easier to create content, there is still such a massive opportunity to be able to stick out and to do this. This is hard. This takes time. I'm going to give you some ideas for what to post, but this is really the barrier and the bar is pretty low because this is hard to do. Most people are afraid of nobody engaging, nobody liking any of their posts, and that is what holds them or what stops them after a week or 2 of doing this. If you're in B2B, if that's your focus, 80% of social leads come from LinkedIn. Not telling you anything you don't know, but the amount of decision makers on this platform comparatively to other ones is pretty remarkable, and it's a one that you want to take advantage of if you're targeting high-level buyers and or even doing so differently is a really good way to do this. So what's the reality and why do we see most people not do it? They're too busy. They have too many things going on. Their network goes dormant. They met that person 5 years ago, but if there's no way and we're not consistently connecting with them, that person's not going to remember them. And then content feels generic. I think this is a really important part of the AI world that we're currently living in, is if you just ask ChatGPT to write up a post around leadership and you're a leadership coach, nobody's going to read it. Nobody's going to be very interested in it. And so you have to make sure that it's human. And it's another thing that I really love about the Bedford process is they create a way for you to effectively put your unique thought leadership out there. If Harris GBT could write it or put it out there, people aren't going to be interested in reading it. And so how can we put our unique perspective out there in a consistent way in order to drive the right people to our profile? So what does this all look like in practice? 3 legs to the stool of how we see people generating revenue from LinkedIn. 1 is thought leadership, so putting your unique perspectives out there into the world. 2 is strategic networking. How can you effectively and consistently connect with your ideal buyers? And then the 3rd one is the most important, which is personalized direct messages. So instead of spam blasting, what I like to call pitch slapping, hitting somebody with something that is relevant and valuable for them is the way that you actually get a response. I'm sure we've all been frustrated by the amount of pitch slaps that we're getting on LinkedIn. This is one of my favorite ways to stick out. Be personalized, be human, provide value to them. The goal here isn't to sell somebody immediately on coaching or on buying a house from you. It's to build relationships. And if I can build hundreds of relationships over the year, compound that over 2 years, over 3 years, over 4 years, amazing things can happen. but that comes from taking a long-term approach and wanting to build relationships rather than just getting an immediate sale, which is going to be what we talk about in today's conversation. I talked a lot about this already. If your company is posting content, that's not enough. I think that's what the first one tells me. People don't buy from companies, they buy from people. If you are in charge of generating revenue for your organization, you need to be out there. You need to be doing something specific for creating your own brand, creating your own unique thought leadership out there in the world. Executives get a lot more engagement. Humans get a lot more engagement than companies do. Massive ROI from visibility. And again, this is a wide open aspect. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about relationship mapping, personalized outreach, and thought leadership. Before we do anything, we need a strong profile. I can't tell you how many times I talk to individuals or give presentations and somebody says, hey, I haven't updated my profile in 10, 15 years. And so I want to go through some pretty practical tips and ideas for how to do this. What does this look like in practice? So there's 3 elements I'm really going to talk about that I want you to take the time to change coming out of this. Your about section is the first one. Who are you? How your company helps with a strong focus in the first sentence. Case studies that prove value, a little bit about you personally. It says if you want there, but I would actually push us to do more of that. Who should contact you and how they should contact you. Here's what mine looks like. We work with executives who have built impressive networks and help them turn those relationships into revenue. At Linked Revenue, we specialize in relationship-based selling. Everything we do is rooted in your voice, your network, your goals. This goes more in depth into that. A little bit about me. I have a toddler. I actually have 2 toddlers now. Drafted by the Nationals out of high school. Leadership coach, been to all 50 states. Some things that just make me human, make me different. And then if you're an executive that is looking to generate revenue from LinkedIn, that's the place that we help. I have some, additionally, I want to talk about your headline, profile photo. These are the different areas of where this can be helpful. Real estate examples in here. So we focus exclusively on tenant rep for small and medium-sized organizations in the DC region. At Clearfield Partners, our mission is simple: tenant first, local expertise, commitment. Here's what my experience is. Here's what drives me. If you're looking for a real estate advisor who puts tenant needs first and brings true local expertise to the table, I'd love to connect. Some other examples in here. I'm not going to go necessarily directly through all of them, but one of the things I would highly encourage everybody to do coming out of this session is take some time to update your about section. This, I've made it seem like I'm anti-AI so far. Changing and updating your about section is a great way to utilize AI. So in the sense of, hey, here's a couple of about sections that I like. Here's some information about me. Here's the format that I want to put it together. Help me put together a first draft. Really, really good way to be able to use AI as a starting point for your about section. The second thing I want to talk about when it comes to your profile is headline best practices. So what should this look like? How do we create this? It should be short and punchy. It should separate with a divider. Add a link to your profile, to your website or your newsletter, wherever you want to drive them. Show who you help. So I have examples here that I really like. CEO and founder at Site Selection Group. One of those dashes: site selection and economic incentives in corporate real estate, outsourcing, advisory. Co-founder and managing partner at the tenant agency, entrepreneur advisor. I'll tell you one that I don't really love is the one in the bottom right, and he knows this. I've talked about this with him. Passionate tenant advocate and playing field leveler. It just doesn't do a lot for me. He is the CEO of that organization. If you are the CEO of an organization, you're the VP, you're the director, put that in the top. I think executive level buyers can be wary of getting a message from, I help you generate 10,000 leads per minute, or I help you find the best space. Show that you have a specific title at an organization that you've earned. And then yes, I think after that you can put in what you do, but I think sometimes people can go a little bit too casual here. And if you are targeting an executive level buyer, this is your opportunity to grab their attention. When I asked to connect with Dan, and I have co-founder and CEO in my title, there's a much higher chance that he takes the time to accept, and that way I can bring him into my network rather than I help you generate 10,000 leads per month. The other thing most people don't even know exists when it comes to their LinkedIn is featured section best practices. So there's a feature on LinkedIn profile where you can add something as featured, good opportunity to showcase your website, your newsletter, case studies. Most people just don't know that this exists. If you go to your profile, you click edit button, add custom, you can add a featured section to showcase some of your best work. These are examples that I've seen that I really like. A YouTube channel with an overview of the company, a post that did really, really well, another post that did really well. This is our organization, so I've applied to work with us. I have a case study post that I wrote, and then I have our newsletter. Those would kind of be my three favorite to do. And then just another example, newsletter, post that did really well. That's what I would add in those. Not going to have us do this during the time today, but I would encourage you coming out of our session today to make those updates to your profile. So the next thing I want to talk about here is how do we create good content on LinkedIn? What does that look like? How do we position you as the go-to in your voice? So what should you be posting on LinkedIn? Again, we've talked about what not to post. The best thing, the thing that gets the most impressions, the thing that gets the most people into your world are personal stories and lessons. So career experiences, failures, wins. If it's something that you have experienced and is your unique expertise, that's always going to be the best. I think most people don't do number two, and I think it's a massive, massive, massive missed opportunity. Client wins and case studies. They put these case studies up on their website and or share them all the time in calls, but never take the time to put them as a social media post. Really, really, really big missed opportunity here. Take the time to do it. Share it real. Make it interesting. Make it engaging. Grab the attention of your ideal buyers. Thought leadership, but not just like generic stuff. What's your unique take on the industry? What do you believe that others don't? When something comes out interesting about your industry, take the time to share some thoughts on it. We've had clients go really viral and get a bunch of really good people into their network by doing this recently. So something I'd encourage you to do when you see something in your network that has mass appeal to more people, take the time to put your thoughts on it. There's a lot of stuff with the Taylor Farm stuff where we have a bunch of insurance clients and they've gotten really good engagement. People have asked them thoughts on it. We have some PR clients. We have some wealth management. When interesting stuff happens in your industry, put your unique thoughts in there. If you're talking about it with clients, it's a good idea to put it out there more publicly. Engaging polls and questions. You can use LinkedIn as a way to grab data from your clients and from your follower base. So if you have something where it's a question and the way somebody answers makes them a really good prospect for you, put that question out there. Even if 3 people reply, that when they reply, it makes them a perfect fit for your business, that now gives you an excuse to reach out to them. So the way to do this is not, hey, I'm the long form content guy or gal on LinkedIn. Mix it up. There's no magic bullet. There's no magic formula. The best thing to do is to do everything and to shock the algorithm. So what does authority content look like? Share different types, post consistently. A lot of people will often ask, what's the best cadence? How often should I post? My annoying answer is, if you're never posting, try to commit to once a month. If you're once a month, try to commit to every other week. If you're every other week, try to commit to weekly. If you're going to weekly, try to get to twice a week. There is a way that this becomes a lot and too much, but whatever you can commit to doing for 6 months is really going to be the best way to go about doing this. And I think also telling stories and talking about what you're out there doing is a really good way to gain exposure and get interest. I want to share some examples. This is one that I posted recently. The biggest reasons why people don't post on LinkedIn, very, very relevant for what we're talking about today. Fear of being judged. I think that's the number one reason that holds people back. Hey, what if just my mother and my significant other are the only ones that like it? That's the way that I would go about doing this. Not being able to see the ROI immediately. This is a long game. This is something that you have to be done and interested in doing for 3, 6, 12 months. We have clients that have been with us for 3+ months. I tell you that this dramatically compounds the longer you do it. The majority of people will give up because this is hard. They have no idea what to write. That's why you join Bedford. That's why you become you join one of the cohorts. They tell you exactly what to do. Number 4, thinking everybody already knows what they post. This is a big one that comes up a lot. If you're a real estate tenant rep, you spend a lot of your day 40 hours, if 40 hours of your week, talking about that exact thing. Your owner or your business owner does not. So like what might seem really, really common to you is very interesting and very nuanced for your buyers and people that you care. No time. I'd push back on that. One, that's why our service exists, is do it for truly executives with no time. But this isn't something that has to be a massive undertaking. Commit to something that you can do for 6+ months, and I promise you, good things will happen related to that. I want to share a couple other content ideas. So you don't have to do video, but what I would say is it's a good way to shock the algorithm, to share new ways, put yourself uniqueness out there. There are AI videos, of course, but this is a really good way to be human and to showcase that this is actually you rather than AI writing it. These are some other ones that I've really liked. If you're hosting a happy hour and you want to share more about it, if you're with an industry leader or somebody that you really respect, or you have an event, these are different posts that we've seen do really well when you're out there in the wild. Really good opportunity to share what's going on in your world. This is one that absolutely blew up, and so it's related to what I was talking about before. And this was a news story that got a lot of engagement, and this individual sells to HR, but had a hot take on it, if you will. It was when Harvard made a bold move that should spark serious conversation in every boardroom, living room, and leadership circle. Amazing hook to get it through that. And then it said, here's what they did, and he put his own unique spin on it. And he got over about 3,900 people to engage with it, 200 reposts. This was something timely in his industry. He shared his thoughts. The followers and engagement that came from that were pretty remarkable. This is something that we're seeing a lot of success in. Put your unique thoughts and perspective into what's going on out there in your industry, and you never know what can happen. This was a executive search individual, works with private equity, shared his perspective on like what the major challenges are, where he sees problems, and really good engagement. 132 people engaged, 30 comments, just another example. Personal posts, I'm a huge fan of them. A successful morning for these two at the tenant agency. Shared a picture of him with his kids. 118 people engaged with it. I won't share this one also, but I just more and more you can see some polls, some interesting information there as we go through, just to see some other client and content examples. And I'll make sure that everybody who joins gets the link here to be able to see the deck afterwards. So where does good content come from? One, this is why you join Bedford. This is exactly what they help you do. But I like to keep it simple. 3 ways that I think about content. The first is the most important by far. Recent conversations where your clients or prospects were interested in what you said. So you were in an in-person meeting or you were on a Zoom and you said something and your client said, tell me more about that, or I'd love to hear more. That's really interesting. Ding, ding, ding. Our light should go off and say that is exactly what's going to make more interested people like them valuable content for them. I turn that into content that we want to share more broadly. Every single week you are in conversations where you're saying something that your ICP, your ideal customer profile, is finding interesting. It's about building the muscle and about building the habit to then turn that into content. That is by far the best thing. The second that I'd say, recent conversations where you were interested in something they said. So a client, a prospect, a friend said something, you found it pretty interesting. You have a unique take that you want to put on that, or you want to say, hey, I heard this really great thing from Ann yesterday and I want to share it more broadly with my network. Give them credit. Really good content there. And then the third is often what I see, but they don't do the second part of that, the part after the dash. Podcasts or articles you enjoyed, but put your own spin on it. Don't just share, hey, here's an article from Forbes that I really liked. Here's where I've been experiencing struggles related to my leadership. Here's something that I'm trying to think about as it comes to employee engagement. Like, put your unique spin on it. Here's a podcast I heard, but I really love what they said at minute 13. Make it interesting, make it unique, make it human. In an AI world that we live in, that is the differentiator when it comes to content. If your ChatGPT could write it, nobody's interested in reading it. What's your unique take on the industry? What's your specific expertise? That's what you want to put out there on a consistent basis. One thing I'll take and ask you to do coming out of today, write 1 or 2 posts. Think about what you said to clients, what you said to prospects they found interesting. Put it out there into the world, see what happens. So this is what I would say is our superpower, and where we see and how you actually turn content into revenue. Relationship mapping and activation. There's very often hidden people in your network, in your world, who are showing you warm signals that they're interested, but we have to use the time to send the direct outreach and see where that goes. So one of the ways we do that is proactively growing and building our network. So this is Sales Navigator. It's about $100 a month, $110 a month. Most people have it and don't use it. But if you have it and want to use it effectively, build a list of your ideal prospects. Let's say I target CEOs and founders in the US of companies 50 to 10,000. Those are the people that I want to add to my network. So I want to build that list. I want to grow it. I want to every day ask to connect with 5, 10 of these people. Over time, you do that for a year and your network is going to build to a really good place. And so if we're creating good content, we're building the network that gives us more of an opportunity to send warm outreach based off of positive signals. And so who should you connect with? Prospects. The big one is former clients, existing clients, alumni network. If I was starting from scratch and trying to generate new business, alumni network would probably be one of the first places I'd start. Industry peers, event attendees. Those are just different groups that would be valuable for you to be connected with on LinkedIn. I would say there's a massive benefit to the more people knowing about you and what you do. These would be kind of the 6 that I would get started with. One of the things that I don't see enough people taking advantage of is very real life, very real example here. Let's say Dan was a client of mine or a referral or a champion of mine. And I know that anybody that likes or engages with Dan's posts, he would be happy to connect me with those people. And Dan said, yeah, Harris, let me know. Happy to make an introduction to you. And that's usually where the conversation stops. What's really interesting about LinkedIn is that I could look through who Dan's first degree connected to, but he might have 5,000 connections. He doesn't actually know them. The data in who is engaging with Dan's content and then utilizing that to find the 3 people that would be most valuable for me to meet is where the magic is in LinkedIn. So make this very, very real. I'm targeting founders of companies between 100 and 500 people. Let's say I want professional services founders between 100 and 500 people. Dan has posted, let's say monthly for the last 6 months. I have a lunch coming up with Dan where I know he's going to say, hey, Harris, anything I can do to help, more than happy to. I'm going to take the time to look through his last 6 posts and find anybody who fits that bill of CEO, professional service firm, 100 to 500 people. And now instead of Dan just saying, yeah, Harris, let me know, like always happy to keep you in mind, I'll say, by the way, do you actually know Dennis, Taylor, and AJ? They'd be really, really amazing people for me to meet. More than happy to script you an email. It takes that aspect of like, who do you know, to actually turning it into intros and referrals into your world. One of my favorite examples of how to actually turn LinkedIn data into sales meetings. We talked about this a little bit already, but one of the things I would do coming out of our conversation today, out of the presentation here, go find 10 people that you need to meet. Use Sales Navigator. You get a free month if you've never used it before. Connect with them. Grow your network. More and more people who fit your ICP that are connecting with you, the better. You have to take the time to be proactive in building that. The final thing that we'll talk about here is personalized direct outreach. How do you turn that attention into real conversations? This is very often a missed opportunity for a lot of the people that I see and that we have conversations with. So this is how we track it, and you can track it however you want. But every time you post, someone is sharing that they're interested in what you're saying. So there's a like, there's a comment, there's a profile view, there's a connection request. All of those are warm signals that we see hundreds of sales meetings booked off of every single day. But you have to take the time and build the muscle to check who does that, see how valuable they would be, and send a direct message. We have a client here that we shared some interesting information around. They're targeting CHROs, CPOs. So these were real people who engaged with that individual's content. And then we went through and said, strong match. That's someone to reach out to. Strong match. No, don't. So this is what you should constantly be doing as you're building out your network and building out your content, is like, who are the people that are engaging with that content, and then how can you use an excuse to outreach. One of the reasons why I love this work so much is personally, I hate cold outreach. It makes me uncomfortable. I never want to cold call. I never want to cold email again. And I never will have to, because I've committed basically every day to creating content on LinkedIn targeted at a specific ICP, so that when I reach out, someone says, yes, Harris, I've been seeing what you've been doing for the last 5 years, more than happy to have a conversation with you. Versus, why is Harris reaching out? What's going on? I don't really know anything. Like, I have built up the expertise to be allowed into more rooms that I otherwise wouldn't have been allowed to. That is 100% because of the content that I've created over the last several years. This has gotten me into rooms that I otherwise would have no business being into and never would have been around. And it was content, strategic networking, personalized direct outreach on repeat for several years. And it's amazing what this has done for, again, getting me into rooms, new partners, new clients, new talent that I can bring into my organization. All these things that have happened by putting myself out there, connecting with the right people, finding warm signals on LinkedIn, and utilizing that as an excuse to outreach. So what do these outreach messages actually look like? Hey Thuns, great seeing your name pop up on LinkedIn recently. Hope all is well. Would love to find time for a coffee or lunch soon if you have availability. Let me know the best way to get something on your calendar. Very, very simple. Hundreds of examples of utilizing that have gotten meetings. We also do, I've mentioned this a lot, but like the intro. Hey Anish, hope you're doing well, enjoying a nice summer. I want to see if you've been open to introducing me to Sankar. By the way, Sankar liked or commented on 5 of Anish's last posts, so we know there's a good chance they like them. I'd love to share some things we're working on with the future of work and get his perspective on it. Would you be open to making an email introduction? And then the last one, appreciate the opportunity to connect. Given your role in technology leadership, I'd really value the chance to exchange ideas. Such a dynamic time in our industry. I believe there's a lot we can learn from one another. That's my least favorite of the 3. It got responses because the person we were sending it from had 20,000 followers and was an amazing human being that everybody wanted to speak with, but still not, hey, want you to buy my custom software package. Was more leading with value. Think you'd be interesting in what. I'm not going to talk about the one on the left, just very similar to what we've seen. The one on the right's interesting. I've given hundreds of presentations at this point, and we live in almost 100 executives' LinkedIn's every day. Nobody sends the video direct message. It is a really good way to stick out in a way that someone will actually listen and watch it. I get maybe one a month. I talk about it all the time, and so I think that's why I get them once a month. I probably get hundreds of other messages in there. If you're looking for a way to get an executive or someone to actually watch and see what you're doing, take the time to send them a video message. You have to be first degree message to do it. Show that you did some research about them. Talk about your value prop and why you think you could be helpful for them, and then see if they're open to meeting. That's really what it comes down to. Nobody is doing this. Don't go do a vidyard and send 100,000 of them. Everybody's gonna be able to see right through that. Take the time, do your research on the prospect, talk about what they care about, add value, mention how you have something to give to them. Really good way. You send 10 of these, you're gonna get a much higher response than sending 10 of the same written messages. We live in executives' LinkedIn's. They are never getting these. Less than 1% of the outreach of it. What does a good message look like? What should you be sharing out there? I have a very unique take on this. I think way too many people go immediately for the sales pitch, and nobody wants to be pitched immediately. Your goal here is to create a relationship, provide value to them, see how you can help them. It's not to get them to buy your software or buy a house from you tomorrow. So focus on them. Invite them to an executive dinner or event you're hosting. Connect them to a prospect for their business. I'll tell you, I reached out about us hiring, and I probably got 200 staffing companies asking me if they could work with me. One guy said, hey Harris, I am a staffing company, but I have a prospect that would be amazing for your business. I'm going to pass him along. By the way, if you ever need help growing or adding somebody, more than happy to be a resource. That is the only one I responded to of the 200 people that reached out. That guy led with value. He thought about me and my business. Now when that person becomes a client and I need to add new people, no doubt in my mind that's going to be the first and only guy that I call from a staffing perspective. He provided value. He cared about what I wanted. He provided value to me, not his own agenda. Amazing example of it. ask them to be a contributor for a white paper you're building, share a resource. I'm careful on the resource one. Don't send them an invite to a webinar in all reality, like a very generic, boring webinar that they would never care about. If it's highly tailored for them, good chance they'd show up, but just be cognizant around what you're sharing. This would be another activity that I would tell you to do coming out of this. Send personalized direct outreach. Don't send the same thing to everybody, just like email, just like phone, just like a conference. What is unique about LinkedIn is that that person is potentially sharing their content. Utilize your outreach as a way to connect with their content. Your goal here is to take somebody from ice cold to a little bit warmer. If you can do that hundreds of times, I promise you good things will happen. Your competition is going immediately for the sales pitch. Hey, buy my software. Buy this from me. Not at all what you want to do. You want to plant 100, 1,000 personal relationship seeds that over time really good things will happen. You just have to trust the long game. You have to not go immediately for the sale and be friendly, care about them, focus on them. So in wrapping up here, because I know I'm getting up to time, the honest truth is that most people struggle with this. This is hard to do. It's hard to consistently create valuable content. That's why you need Bedford. It's hard to every day connect with your ideal prospects. There's ways to do that. And it's hard to send personalized direct outreach and play the long game with people. But when done effectively, these things are amazing. When you do this for several weeks, good things will happen to your business. It takes the consistency game and not just sending out 5,000 messages and praying that one person responds. Don't waste time with no outcome, tools unused, different ways that we've seen people struggle. How we do it for clients, so we run this process for them. I'm not going to go too in depth into that. When and how often to post, this comes up all the time in conversations and workshops and presentations that I have. We see the best engagement Tuesday through Thursday between 9 and 11 a.m. We see the lowest engagement Friday at 7 p.m. or Saturday or Sunday. There is value in what is the engagement like in the first couple minutes, in the first hour, if you will. LinkedIn is always changing the algorithm, but that seems to be pretty steady. If you cannot do anything, try to commit to once per week if you're just getting started. If that's too much, try to do one every other week, once a month. The worst thing that you can do, I guess the worst thing that you can do is never get started. The second worst thing you can do is try to do everything at once. Say, hey, I'm going to post 14 days in a row, and then you're going to give up. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're not going to have enough things to post about. This is a long game aspect. Stay consistent for 6+ months, and I promise you good things will happen. 99% of people will quit. If you can be the 1% that sticks it out for 6+ months, there are amazing, amazing things on the other side of doing that. But it takes working with Bedford and building that habit, building that muscle, figuring out what you need to be sharing, how you can be doing so on a consistent basis. And with that, I'm going to wrap up. I'll bring Ann back on the screen here for any Q&A that there might be.
Harris, thank you so much. As always, I'm learning something new every single time you join us in a skill lab. All right, so I selfishly always ask the first question. So my selfish first question is, someone is posting on LinkedIn essentially for the first time, and I think that a lot of people get kind of caught up in this idea of having to post thought leadership and new ideas and being the first to share news or their opinion on something or whatever it is, and they're not getting the feedback that they're looking for. They're not getting the likes, they're not getting the comments. How would you recommend to someone, or how do you have your clients essentially pivot what they're talking about or try different things that they're posting to see success?
I love the question. So the only cheat code is something personal related to business. So most of the time they're sharing something really boring and nuanced that only a hyper focused specific person in their industry would care and know about, which is fine. That's good to also do, but switch it up and do something that the average human would care about. That's the biggest thing that I see people struggle with, is do something that the average human would care about. You want to mix it up. Yes, you should have hyper specific industry stuff, but also talk about what it's like being an entrepreneur and a father. That's what gets a lot of engagement, is the reality of the situation. people are hesitant to do that. I think it's a bad business decision to not do that. But most of the time, or they're just like sharing a commercial for their company, and it's like nobody cares. Nobody wants to read your commercial. I would say that's like the biggest thing is the majority of people just like share a commercial. Like once a quarter, they go on and they share a commercial for their company. Like, of course, nobody's engaging with that. Like, why would anybody care? Sorry for my
No, that's
negativity, but
so
it's the
true.
truth.
It's literally so true. It's so true. It's like or like when you get to the bottom of a post that you think is like kind of well thought out and it's like and that's why I work at this company. Like,
Yeah.
come on, like you
Yeah.
almost had us there. Like you almost had us, you almost had
I
us.
I think what I also see is like every post doesn't need to be a sales pitch. Like make it valuable to them. This like the I'm not a huge Gary Vee guy. Some of Gary Vee's stuff I think is interesting, but like jab, 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 hook is like his thought process. Like jab is value, 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 value. Here's my pitch. Value, value. Like so few people, like 1% of people like do that approach. That's what we do for our clients. That's our whole approach, but it's hard. It like everyone else is like, here's why my company's the best thing on earth and you'd be lucky to work with us. It's like, get out of here. Who are you?
Right. Yeah.
Versus like value, 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 value. Anne's the expert now. She's who I want to reach out.
Right, exactly. I think that's a good point. Okay, we've got another question coming in. What Serena wants to know, what about when you're a multi-hyphenate? Period. Rep all in the headline or just focus on what you're most wanting to pursue at present?
Good question. Depends what they are, so I need to have more context on like if they're somewhat related, then I think
Serena,
it's
put more
fine.
context. Put more context in the chat. We can get specific. We can get specific.
I think if you're trying to grow the business, if you're trying to grow that business, I think it's okay to put them both in there. But you don't. You also want people to know you for a specific thing. Like I post 80% of my content is around social selling and sales and LinkedIn, and like 20% is something related to like personal. I post a lot about being an entrepreneur and a dad. I post a decent amount about like other personal things that relate to me. Um,
We got extra context also.
I'm a host.
Serena said, I'm a host, interviewer, director, co founded an IRL dance event.
I love it. I think you could put all of that honestly in there. I think it's a really, there's no reason not to, unless you're like, hey, there's no business opportunity for one of these. The director is irrelevant for growing and I'm not interested in that, then I wouldn't put that one in there. Like people can overdo it. It's like, whoa, there's like 15 things in here and I have no idea what you're doing. So be careful. There's a way you can overdo this. But I think for the most part, I would put what you do in there if there's a way that it can help you from a business. And I would direct your content related to how much you care about that business, like how much you want to grow that business. So if the IRL dance event is 80% of your business focus, put 80% of your content focus into that would be the way.
Cool. I have kind of a follow up question to that. How do you feel about like people who do keywords in their headlines instead of like sometimes I'll see, especially since I'm in digital marketing and so much of my like connections are, instead of someone just saying like digital marketing director, they'll put like growth focused marketing expert scaling companies at X rate. I'm like, okay, take it
Most
easy,
people overdo it. Not most
Yeah.
people. Some people overdo it. It is a good way to like show your unique expertise there. I think my recommendation, and this is a lot of people who do what I do don't necessarily agree with me, but we work with like a pretty executive audience, so it's different. I am so against I help you generate 10,000 meetings per month. Like I think anytime anybody of value sees that type of thing in a header, they're immediate like, okay, here comes the pitch slap, here it comes, versus like CEO of X company. And then it's like, whatever you do, like we help you with outbound. That would be better than like, I help you. I just like think it's so, that's like my ick on LinkedIn is I help you generate 10,000 meetings per month. That's my ick.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. I had changed my LinkedIn banner for a little while. That was like I essentially used it as like a portfolio kind of thing where like I had like cool like stats up there of like things I'd accomplished. Changed it after a month because I got so many spammy like messages in my inbox. Like exactly like that. Like, hey, I can help you with your business doing XYZ. I can help you with this. I was like, okay, this is not the kind of outreach I'm looking for. Like, this is not the inbound reach I'm looking for at all. I'm like, I need all of you to stop messaging me. So yeah, like it's always that kind of thing too. That's so funny.
And that's why I like a lot of what I talked about today is anti any of that. Like it's so against everything I believe. Is like it's not a send 10,000 messages and pray people respond. It's like create really valuable content, connect with people that are valuable, and when you see a warm signal, utilize that to outreach. That is hard to do. It is so much easier to press a button and send 10,000 of the same exact messages, which is why most people won't do it. Like most people won't do the hard thing. And to me, that provides a massive opportunity for those that will.
Yeah. Okay, last question. How do you feel about the influx of memes on LinkedIn? Like, how do you feel about this new style of posting? I say new, it's been going on for like a while now, where people are like trying to make LinkedIn a little bit Instagram, where they'll post a meme and be like, this is the exact life that it feels like to do my job position or whatever. What do you think about this kind of thing?
I think most people are too grumpy around LinkedIn, so I actually think it's kind of fun, and I'm for it. Is my gut reaction. Like we work with executives, and so that's like our bread and butter, and like they wouldn't really do it, but like I think that stuff's pretty cool and interesting. It's related to. I get the question all the time, like should I be personal on LinkedIn? Like this isn't Instagram, this isn't Facebook, and now I say, and I think I said this in book, it's a bad business decision for me to tell you not to be personal. Like I used to be like, no, your choice and whatever you want to do. We have seen millions of dollars generated from a personal content, somebody valuable, engaging, and then outreach. It is a bad business decision for me to say, no, be a robot and just talk about your business. Like I cannot tell you how many times good stuff has happened.
Yeah, we got a related question. Swearing feels like a no-no on LinkedIn specifically.
I don't swear on LinkedIn. I swear too much in real life. I don't swear on LinkedIn. I mean, I know people who swear.
I don't swear on social media. Like, I try not to, I have to say. And in real life, like, I'm pretty foul-mouthed. But, like, I don't know. I've always thought that, I mean, I'm not a LinkedIn expert. I'm more, like, Instagram and TikTok. But I usually don't swear only because I have a theory that it like throttles your reach if like the algorithm or whatever can detect that like you've used a curse word, which is why on TikTok a lot of times you'll see people like this is a super specific example, but like people who talk about true crime, they won't say murder, they'll say like unalived. You know what I mean? Like little things like that. Like I think it's the same thing with swearing where like people will be like, well, I don't give a what you think, and like they won't say the word, but you can get it across. You know what I mean? So I feel like maybe with LinkedIn, similar kind of vibe. But I guess it kind of depends on also what your career is.
Yeah, I mean, I follow someone and he swears all the time, and I think it's really interesting, and I kind of love his content. It's human, it's him, it's unique. I would never do it, but that's me, and I don't judge. I mean, I judge a lot of things, but I don't judge people who swear on LinkedIn. Is my reaction to that.
I like that, especially because with a lot of AI writing, I think too, it's becoming so obvious when someone's using AI to write that I think that anytime in any social media that you can show that you are human and that you wrote this yourself and that this wasn't touched by AI, then like do it. And if that means you have to drop a, maybe not an F-bomb, but maybe drop like a couple swear words here and there, like
it's interesting you say that. I mean, I know every time I see that it's obviously him and not ChatGPT.
Yeah, I write in all lowercase a lot of the time now. Not that I like it aesthetically, but like it's not ChatGPT. Like you know that it's me. Or like
we'll
omit a comma.
We'll never do an M dash. We'll never do a not this but this. I'm sure there's other ones.
It's devastating because like I am a dual English and theater major from college, and so like I love the M dash and I also love the N dash, which are two different things that we've completely forgotten as a society now. But like it's over. It's over on socials.
Retired. The M dash is retired.
It's retired until further notice. But this was awesome. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom, as always. And you guys. Serena said, me too. I hate that they've been taken from us. I think we need to just bring it back. I think that we should overuse the M dash so that it's clear that it's not AI. Like, just put it in
with a cuss word. You got to swear right before the M dash, and that's the way to
exactly.
Mitigate it.
chat would never write that. You know what I mean? You would never see M dash and a curse word in the same.
I kind of like that's the only way you can get around it. Serena, thank you for that.
Yeah, test it out. Let us know. I personally will not be testing that out, but
Serena's going
someone
to.
should. Yeah, Serena, you should. I personally probably won't, but like maybe. Who knows? You know. This was awesome. Thank you so much, Harris. You guys know how to reach Harris in Circle, and if you are somehow live streaming this and not part of Bedford yet, you definitely should be, because this is the kind of stuff that we cover every single week. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.